For Complex News, I'm Natasha Martinez. On September 7th, 2018, the world lost Mac Miller at just 26 years old. Friends, family, fans, and the music community at large all grieved the loss of his incredible talent and his light. Tonight, we are celebrating the life of Mac Miller at the Mac Miller Celebration of Life benefit concert, featuring frequent collaborators SZA, Travis Scott, Anderson .Paak, Chance the Rapper, and more. We're about to talk to some fans about how they felt about his music, what impact it left them, and how they'll say goodbye.
In high school, way back when, Mac Miller was like up and coming. So throughout high school, it was kind of like an influential thing where he was young, I was young, and I could almost relate to like him coming up. So
did you feel like you were growing up with him essentially?
Yeah, in a way. So as he grew as an artist, obviously I grew up in my own sense, but it was nice to see him develop as a rapper. So I think this is important for me to see.
Just the fact that I know Mac wanted to like have his concert and like perform these songs and stuff like that, I feel like he'd be just as grateful for these people actually doing it.
I've been listening to Mac Miller since I was like 14, 15 years old. So like when he passed away, that kind of hit home for real. So I was like, I really wanted to go. She surprised me for my birthday with the tickets. I was like, it's a must-see concert, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, it was just, I mean, he's been such a huge part of my life. It was like probably the #1 artist I listened to when I was growing up, like all through middle school and high school. So we saw this concert and we both were like, there's no way we don't go. So we got tickets from Michigan and we're here.
Now, how did you feel when you heard the news?
Devastated. That girl actually called me and she was the first person to tell me, and I kind of like didn't really know what to do. I just sat there like in shock, and then once I actually like read things on Twitter and people were texting me like saying they're sorry and like all these things, is when it like hit me and I felt like I lost a friend basically.
I didn't believe it at first, so I had to like scroll through Twitter real quick. I had to like get on different social media apps, and then when it was really confirmed, it was kind of surreal because I didn't think, with everything happening and like rappers and other artists dying of a drug overdose, it was heartbreaking.
I was more shook than I have been in a long time. I never thought like a celebrity death would like really hit me that hard. But as I said, since it was somebody that like I felt like I almost grew up with him, that it hurt a lot actually. I remember that whole night.
For someone to just die like that, right before they go on tour, while they're starting to express themselves in like a very raw and vulnerable, very genuine way, when you know they're going through a recovery process, that's a hard thing. So, and I think it kind of caught the whole world by surprise. So I had to be here.
Do you remember maybe like the first Mac Miller song that you ever heard that really left an impact on you?
I forget the name of the song. The first tape I really listened to was the Jukebox, back when he was into the beanies, the baggy clothes and all that. But then like it was like the Kids tape that really started hitting, and I was like, all right, this the boy for real. I just started listening to him like religiously from there.
When Good AM came out, that was like such a really awesome time in my life because it was just like such a transitional period, and then just like seeing that transition that Mac was taking away from like the psychedelic like layers that Faces and watching movies with the sound off had.
Nike's on My Feet, that was like one of my favorite songs, and I didn't have shoes like him at that time, but it was definitely one of those songs where I constantly had it on a repeat.
Of the Soul, I love Of the Soul. I literally can start from the top to the bottom. Like I love that song. Yeah. I'll go for days. It's my favorite.
Honestly, if Small Worlds plays anywhere, like I'll sing word for word right now. Like that's just my go-to song.
Now, what about his legacy? What do you think other artists who are now coming after the death of Mac Miller are going to be putting into their music because of what he did with his own work?
I think being in LA especially, like you really feel the impact of Mac Miller because he put on so many people. Like a lot of people even in this lineup like know that without Mac Miller then it wouldn't be the same for them. So just looking forward, just seeing how much of a helping hand Mac contributed, I think that'll lead to more people just emphasizing collaboration in their music, and then just also just doing things that aren't just for the moment but something that'll last the test of time. And that's what he did throughout his whole career, and like swimming is like literally the perfect touch to that whole legacy in my opinion.
I know that a lot of other artists looked at him as inspiration. So, I mean, regardless of him being here in person or not, he will always have like some type of influence, I believe, on up-and-coming rappers and artists.
It's just like he's a legend, you know? It's crazy to see him go and stuff.
But I think it would say authenticity in in the rap culture, to be honest. Yeah. For the person he represents physically, internally, yeah.
I think it was the fact that everything he did was so genuine. I think that whatever he did was something like the direction he wanted to take in. Like he wanted to go psychedelic for a couple of albums, so he did. And then he wanted to go more like jazz and more like musically inclined music like later in his career. And it was just something that was so beautiful and something I can relate to, because I definitely like try to be the genuine, authentic self that I can be every day. And so just like seeing that, and then just seeing like how much life he had in his eyes, and just seeing how much like that smile held so much weight in like so many people's lives, including my own, is just, that was the main thing that kind of came across.
I think in the beginning it was just such feel-good music. I always loved rap and hip-hop music, and there was something about his music that just really clicked with me, and it was always good. Me and my friends could just be running around in the summertime, and Mac Miller always seemed like the perfect soundtrack.